don't understand what's happening right now. It was 30 degrees 2 days ago, and now it's snowing. I'm so lost. This might be a bad idea, but here it goes. So we can get it. There we go. So I have another project. So I'm doing two projects at once. I'm going to do one car, the Mini, and this bike. Most definitely a bad idea. This is a CBR600 from the 1990s. Well, 1990 to be exact. And it's called the F1 because there's F1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm not sure which years they all were made, but I know for a fact that this one is an F1 based on the chassis and a little bit of research that I did prior to buying it. Because I bought this on a whim like an idiot. It's 600 cc's, and cc's, if you're going to put in liters, it's a 0.6 liter. So it's 4-cylinder, 0.6 liter engine. There's absolutely no fairings, which I don't care because I'm planning on building this into a naked bike anyway, or a street fighter. I'm going to be stripping this thing completely down, taking it apart, every nut and bolt, and repainting the whole thing. Rusty chain. The wheels are really ugly. That rotates, so I guess it's in neutral. Linkages aren't bent. It is missing a peg. You got a crack here. I believe this is the stator. So we've got to take this off and see how ruined that is. And I'm not sure whether there's going to be oil in here or not, but we'll see. Got the rad. The rad looks okay. Oil cooler on the front. So it's a rad and an oil cooler. Must run hot. Twin disc. Front. Fuck off, Siri. A peg, I guess. And all this is loose. And I'm not too mad about the paintwork or anything because it's all going to be redone. This is the next project. This is what I'm thinking of doing. And we're going to take step by step. We're kind of going to wing this. First few steps we need to do on this. I've taken off the gas tank. I removed the seat. There were some... I'm taking off the carbs as well, so we'll take that apart and go through that. Gas tank. They seem to have clipped the switch for the high beam, low beam horn on the left handle, and that's the other plug-in for it. And then there's these two random cables where I don't know where they came from, so I have to figure that out. This looks like it's part of the clutch cable. A lot of things are just a mess. So what I think I'm going to do is take the plugs that are there, connect everything I can, see what, and put a battery in, see what powers up, what doesn't. See if I can get it to turn over to see if the engine is completely knocking or anything. But if I get a chance to, or figure out how to get it started and it starts, then I will start stripping it down and I'll set you guys up on a little time lapse of me messing around. Then I'll update you on what I figured out and what I didn't, and we'll go from there. You wouldn't know it was 29 degrees a couple days ago where I got a severe sunburn on a patio having drinks. What is going on? So I've removed the gas tank, the seat, carbs, and now I'm going to try to hook up some power and see if I can get the dash to light up and see if I can get it to turn over. Because if I can get it to turn over, then I can start stripping it down, taking the wiring apart and putting things back together. Not really sure how to do this. I don't really have a process either. I will try to stay as organized as possible and update you guys on what my next steps are. What I need to do, there's no key for the ignition switch. I'm gonna obviously use YouTube University, see if I can find out how to bypass the ignition, but we'll find a way to bypass the ignition. And so when you turn the key, so we can activate the battery, so we can see what dash, or like what lights up on the dash and what doesn't. Okay, now I have the ignition. So obviously plug it in to the harness. Looks okay. I'm gonna take the backing off and see if I can just remove the key part, and so I can just turn the ignition itself, and that should give me power temporarily. This is not, I'm not teaching you this so you can steal bikes. Sure, you could steal a bike by doing it like this, but please don't steal stuff. So, good news, I have taken the key part off, and you can now turn the key. So I rehooked up, I checked all the connections on the main wiring harness and they seem okay. I checked the fuses too. So I don't, obviously this is janky. The battery, the motorcycle battery I have is completely dead. So even after I tried charging it, so I just set up a jumper pack to this, and I have it hooked up, and I'm gonna see if we get power to the cluster. So first, I like using this little light tester. You stick it, stick it on the ground, black ground, and then the other side goes to a positive, and you can tell whether you have a current going through that or not. So that's good news. We have a current, so let's see whether we get power up front. Okay, and this is the ignition, but with the key removed, and I'll give it a turn. Hey, look at that. Temperature gauge is working. It's in neutral. Okay, so that's step one. We got power through the harness. And I guess next step is to see if this engine turns over. I guess we'll just bench test the starter and see if it cranks. Okay, now I'm gonna, so don't normally do this, but I'm gonna jump the solenoid. So this is the contact that leads to the starter. And then the other side is the power that we tested earlier. So I'm gonna contact those two together and see if the motor turns over. This will let me know whether things are at least not completely destroyed. Okay, ready? That's good news. Okay, so quick update. As you tear anything down that you have recently bought used or is a complete piece of junk, you will find some surprises. Other than the obvious missing peg, this is completely cracked, as you can see. So it was obviously dropped, which makes sense because there's a bunch of JB weld on this stator piece. So I guess we'll find more about that and whether that's a future issue. I will replace that eventually once I find spare parts, but for now, if it works, it'll work. And we're gonna have to find a new bracket as well to make that not so funky monkey. The rust isn't horrible. It can be, a lot of this can be just ground off, and then once we repaint it, it should add a good layer of protection. But so far, the teardown, pretty easy, pretty quick. I think I'll have this engine out within the next hour, and then we'll go from there. Okay, it's now been about 4-ish hours. It's 11:15 right now, so I think I'm done for the night, but the bike is disassembled fully, so I'll just give you a peek. You got the front end. I will get that out tomorrow, take the wheel off because it's after 11 and I'm not trying to whack it with a hammer like freaking Hercules and annoy the neighbors. The rear swing arm, that needs to be completely sanded down and blasted and cleaned up. The engine, we'll do a whole separate video on taking the engine apart, seeing what it looks like, because I saw some water inside the head and it looks like it got on the valves. So I gotta make sure the valves aren't rusted to crap, but we'll do like a light redo of it to make sure it's all good to go, and obviously clean it. Clean everything. Everything's disgusting. And I got brakes and accessories. So brakes, shifters, chain, stem, like the trees in there. And this is just like random like accessory bolts. They need to be replaced, so not too worried. Cooling system, and oil system, and oil cooler. The rad that looks bent, but it looks like it'd be reused. I don't know, we'll see. And then up here we got the carb gas tank, rear shock, and all the wiring in the bucket. That's gonna be a whole. I will either order a new harness or I will unwrap that whole thing and rewrap it. It'll be a pain, but it'll be worth it. That cluster, well, I'll figure out, because I don't think I'm going to use the stock cluster. I want to transfer it, swap it over to the digital if I can. And then here's the frame. Frame honestly is not heavy, but I also didn't realize that this bike had the tail welded in, so we'll have to cut this up and re-brace it, because we're going to change the seat so it's more of a cafe style bike. But yeah, at least now we have room to completely sand, and we'll clean and sand this whole thing down and then paint it. I probably won't be powder coating it, because that's some bougie money that I don't have. But yeah, clean it up nice and we'll do a really good rattle can job, and we'll go from there. But that's it. So I'm done for tonight, and I'll continue tomorrow, and I'll release videos probably once every couple or few days. We'll see how busy I am with work, and I think this bike's gonna turn out pretty nice. I just dropped the frame, but it's all good. Okay, anyway, I'll see you guys next time.